And I think we're ready, Mr. Stapleton.
Okay, Mike, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right. And as Mike said, if anybody has any questions, if you put them in the side chat, he'll make sure to send them my way. This is our second installment of this opportunity to meet with parents. And I know a number of questions were answered the first time. And so as we get into this a little bit, we'll turn over the questions. And again, even if they're just clarifying questions, we're happy to answer them. And we're going to do the best we can to point you in the right direction, et cetera. So if I can first start out just by saying, again, we hope that this opportunity finds everybody healthy and safe. This has been an incredible adjustment for not only educators and teachers, administrators, et cetera, but also to parents. And we get that. This is new territory, uncharted waters, and this shift from person to person to online has been new for everybody, kids, parents, students. And I just want to tell you right now, I just want to say thank you. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, I spent a lot of time talking about the commitment teachers have had to do a lot of professional development, to put in an extra effort, extra time for your kids to make sure that they're ready for you. And I want to make sure to say thank you to you, parents, because we have put you also with this stay-at-home order in a whole different position, as a parent, as teacher, as somebody making sure that all these things get done. So I just want to give you a hats out, and I know these are trying times, and the situation is tough to kind of to navigate, but I'll give everybody credit and just want to say thank you. And as you know, per the last meeting, we switched over. Most of our kids have been doing an outstanding job. We've had anywhere from 85 to 95 to even close to 100% with our Friday Google Meets. Our percentages right now during the week with regards to kids completing work, turning in work, we're at about 50% per our survey and data from our teachers, which is not outstanding. But again, given the circumstances that we're in and not knowing what it's like at home for everybody and not knowing exactly what the situation in their households bring, we just think people are going to continue to do the best that they can. We've asked them to engage and participate. One of the things that have popped up a lot is what's required, what's not required, and that's putting everybody in a tough spot. We just keep pushing back to kids and just saying, hey, these are things that we are asking you to do. These are things that we want you to do because you're supposed to be in school right now anyway. And as long as your situation allows you to have internet, allows you to have access to your Chromebook, allows you to have time, uninterrupted time, and not great anxiety to try to get some of this stuff done, we want you to be engaged, to be thinking and participating in classroom and part of your education. And so we're not using terms like required, but we are using terms like, hey, this is the right thing to do, and we would like you to be engaged. Everybody's situation is different, and we acknowledge that. So we just want to make sure you know that we're pushing your kids too, and I know that can be a constant battle and a lot of pressures at home. And so all I can say is the same thing I'm telling our teachers is that you're gonna do the best you can do. Trying to coordinate that with your kids. Hopefully everything's gonna work out in the end. But right now, I mean, we don't know what it's gonna look like in the future, but we know what we're dealing with now. So as you're working with your kids, continue to reach out to teachers if you need some guidance or questions. I know per the parents' request, one of the things that we tried to do was give access to Schoology, and a number of parents has taken advantage of that by getting access codes. If you don't have access codes or you didn't receive them in your letter, Mr. Tisworth is willing to get any parent or guardian access codes to allow them to get in to see what has been assigned to their students, etc. That being said, just a reminder, one of the conversations in that first letter that we sent out, and also one moving forward, is when Q3 ended, students either had a grade or they had an incomplete in their report cards. Any students receiving an incomplete, we're giving them time to try to make up for that incomplete. We're giving them time to try to get caught up so we can get them some credit. Anybody else, though, at the end of Q3 that had a grade, that's their grade moving forward. Now, at the end of the year, and Mike's going to touch base, Mr. Tisworth is going to touch base with this group a little bit later and kind of mention that we'll be sending home a link that allows students to to either choose that they want to keep their Q3 grade for their semester grade, the end of the year grade, or receive a credit for that class. And as you know, credits don't affect GPAs, etc. Letter grades do. And so this is something that we want to make sure parents are on the loop on as kids are trying to make those decisions as we get close to the end of the year, because there are some ramifications, etc. But if your student was passing at the end of Q3, they will receive either a letter grade or they will receive a credit moving forward, for the semester. Okay, and at the end of the year, we're going to give them that option to choose the letter grade or a credit. Students involved in Michigan Virtual and NMC dual enrollment, those students have continued to work on their classes. If they're in a Michigan Virtual or one of our credit recovery classes, they're going to be expected to complete those classes. And then at the end, they'll have the option of a credit or the grade, just like all the other classes. The NMC dual enrollment kids, you're completely working, those kids are completely working with their instructors at NMC. And we don't have a whole lot to say with that. We just want to encourage them to complete those classes. If your student is a CTC student, they have been in contact with their instructors and working on work. They're trying to push forward with a number of things. They're in direct communication with us. We meet with them once a week, the CTC representatives, and so just make sure that your kids are following up and responding to their CTC teachers, etc. Want to make sure too. Last time we discussed the lunch program. Many of you are receiving some assistance with regards to lunches. You don't have to be free or reduced to receive help from breakfast or lunches from the schools with regards to delivery or pickup. So if you're interested in having meals, Jenna and the kitchen staff, they're doing an incredible job. They're making over 3,000 meals a week and having those delivered. Support staff, kitchen staff, teachers are helping with that, and we're just really grateful for that. But if you're a family that needs some support with regards to breakfast or lunches, just call the elementary school and get your name added to the list, and we'll make sure we work out the details. As far as moving forward towards end of the year activities, etc., there's been a lot of questions about like locker and personal items, etc. Right now, as everybody knows, we're still at a stay-at-home order, and so we're going to continue to work under those pretenses, so not having kids on school property, etc. But we will have some things going on that as we get closer towards the end of the year, we will release some statements regarding how to drop off textbooks and drop off Chromebooks, and at the same time pick up personal items from your student's locker. So that is part of our plan right now. We're working out the details on how to do that during exam week. We'll set up certain times for kids and families to come in. We're hoping that by exam week, we will be in a situation where maybe there's a little more access to the school, but at the same time, we're going to be ready to distribute the stuff that we have to get it back to you, and then also have you guys drop off Chromebooks and textbooks, uniforms, all that stuff that will be happening. So we'll send out a schedule for that later, because I know those questions will come. I just wanted to make sure to mention that. Same thing with yearbooks. We will have yearbooks. They will be ready to be distributed at the end of the year. But again, we want to make sure we're in a safe situation and we can do that free of any putting kids in bad positions, etc. So we will make sure that those get delivered, and we'll have a schedule for that as well. For any senior parents that are out there, tomorrow I will be having a Google Meet with our seniors at around 3 o'clock. Then in the afternoon, I'll be pushing out a senior letter to parents, kind of an update on where we're at with graduation, etc. Things that are going on that may not have been noted, or maybe you have noted. Christine Harvey is working, and she's going to put together extravaganza still, and she's working with some teachers and students on submitting some work. And it's just going to be virtual, of course, but at the same time, trying to give kids a chance to have their artwork recognized and sent out. And I just think that if you can encourage your kids to contact her and or their teachers, maybe if they have something they'd like to have included in that, we can make sure that gets done. Okay. And then awards night, of course, is not going to happen, of course. And but teachers will still be doing some awards for classes, and we'll be mailing those home, so parents will have that as well. Graduation stuff we'll be pushing out tomorrow. and then we'll have more updates on our website, and then also with regards to class night in the year activity. So I know that was a lot coming at you. The one thing that we also know that kids are struggling right now, all schools are in this situation too, where everybody hit it hard when we transitioned to virtual, and now we're getting a little stale with regards to, okay, getting tired of going through the routine, we're in May. Just so you know, that's not necessarily a whole lot different than we've experienced every year come May, with activities and sports and concerts and you name it. So while our heart goes out to our kids, we also just want to let you know we understand that this is a tough time for them. So teachers are going to continue to try to be creative, try to engage your kids as much as possible. I want to make sure that we do have some social emotional supports out there. So if you go to our website, and Mike's also shared the link several times, but there's a counselor request form that you can have. You can submit it for your kid, or your kid can submit it, and then Mrs. Roth will be following up with those students in need. Also, a real positive is Christy Morrow is back working now, contacting our kids, and she's also somebody that can do that. So I just wanted to make sure that I got that information out, and you guys knew what was going on. So that being said, Mike, I don't want to do too much talking because this is supposed to be a Q&A. Do you have any updates or comments you want to make, Mike, while we have the time?
Yes, I'm just going to go through a couple of things real quick, sharing my screen, just making sure that parents know where to get access to stuff, and then I'll start taking care of questions and addressing them back to you. Just a reminder that Matt said about Schoology, if you need Schoology access codes, those were mailed with report cards, but I'll be glad to send those via email to you again if you need those. So you can contact me via email and ask for those Schoology codes so you can connect and see what work your child's doing through Schoology, including what they're submitting and what teachers are asking for. I also made a call out tonight in regards to a reminder for this meeting. So I'm assuming you got that call, but if you did not get a phone call tonight, we probably need to work out something that's wrong with the logistics of the call system. So again, email me if you're not getting the call. I sent an email yesterday in regards to a link to this meeting. So if you did not get that email, let me know. Our system calls and emails the top 2 contacts on the list so that we don't start getting into grandpas and grandmas and stuff. But if for some reason you were listed incorrectly, we need to fix that. And that has happened a couple of times. So I really need to work out any bugs as far as contacts go for you guys. Quickly, I wanted to show you 2 things that Mr. Stapleton referred to. One was the credit option form, and hopefully you can see my tab right now. Mr. Stapleton, you can see the school website on there now?
Yes.
Okay. The first one I wanted to show you here was it's under student parent links, and clicking that and scrolling here, there is the no credit opt-in form. So you fill that out, and you put your child's class that they want to opt into having a credit with. If your child just wants to keep that Q3 grade, there's nothing they have to do. It's only if they want to change that Q3 grade to a credit, thus also changing their S2 grade to a credit. And then you may see some other helpful links down here for parents and students, including work permits and stuff like that. And then the other thing that Mr. Stapleton referred to was the link for counseling. And if you scroll through the high school page a little bit and you come to the white banner here, this is the form you fill out to connect with Ms. Roth and to get some counseling help, or just some advice on classes and any other questions you may have. She'd be glad to talk to you about that. So those were the things I wanted to share with you. And I'm going to get to some of these questions here. Mr. Staple, do you have anything to add before I start doing the questions?
No, just a reminder, at any time, feel free to send Mr. Tisworth or myself an email, or contact us. Most of you have our cell phones or school phones, and we'll try to get back to you on that. And also, again, I know the last meeting we had, I spent a ton of time, talking about all the things our teachers are doing, and I just, I kind of opened with that a little bit. I just want to let you know that this has been tough for them as well. I mean, to go from a situation where you see your kids every single day and then have an opportunity to to then transition to full-time virtual learning. And so our teachers, they've missed that interaction with your kids. They care about your kids, and they're really hoping that things are going okay. And they're also pushing themselves professionally to add new resources, for them to their toolbox. So I appreciate all the effort that the parents are doing, but I also want to give a shout out to our staff, because they've really gone above and beyond to try to meet the needs of the COVID and all the things we're going to. So with that, Mike, let's do some questions.
Okay, first question is when the last official day of school is.
So our last official day is still going to be June 9th on the calendar. The only difference with that will be as we get into end of the year scheduling, it's going to look a little different, because as you can imagine, we're going to try to have Chromebooks turned in at different times and get them into school and how that goes. So I just want to make sure that you guys understand that it'll be June 9th, but some students may or may not be done prior to that, depending on when pickup will be, or drop off and pick up for items for that class. Because we'll probably separate it by classes through those days and make sure there's enough time for people to come into slots and drop stuff off without worrying about being around too many people and being COVID friendly. So June 9th is still the last day. Our seniors' last day is slated for May 22nd. And that will still remain that way, especially for our online students. But we will also set up a schedule earlier in the week, just like we're talking about doing for our 7th through 11th graders, where we'll have pick up and drop off of obligations and pick up of cap and gown. So the seniors' last day will still be on the 22nd, and then June 9th for our 7th through 11th students.
All right. Next question on here is taking a credit rather than a grade. Do colleges look at those, and will those negatively affect our students in any way?
That's a great question. And one of the things that we made sure we did prior to having that offered was get together not only with our ISD and the state, but also with the state colleges and the college board. So these are things that are happening around the country. And so for this window of time, all colleges are going to be accepting the credit piece of a CR on a transcript and not looking at it negatively. And they are working, the NCAA is also working with that with regards to any college athletes that may affect. But right now, colleges will be accepting that, and it will not be a negative on anybody's transcript. So that's a great question, and I'm glad it was asked. Thank you.
Next question. My son asked if they will be picking elective classes for next year.
Yeah, so I think Ms. Roth is on the call right now, and I'm going to defer that question to her in just a few minutes. But one of the things that we are going to be trying to do in the next few weeks is contact students about a schedule for next year. Now, about a few weeks ago would have been the normal time for us to get into classrooms, have the presentation to kids, have them start to talk about electives, etc. And I'm going to defer to Ms. Roth right now if she can pop on, and then see if she's got a comment regarding classes and electives.
Yeah, as soon as we have all of our classes lined up, we're working on our schedules next week, and then we'll be reaching out to students. And we're thinking at this point that there's going to be a way that they can choose online. So it would be like a virtual type enrollment. So that would be probably within the next week or so.
And as Ms. Roth just mentioned, part of that will be, in the past, the students have done everything pen and paper or pencil and paper, and then we go through and add them. She's going to be part of a training along with Mr. Tisworth and Mrs. Evans on for scheduling with Power School next week, where it will allow your students possibly to do that from home, at least to have some options and put first choice, second choice, etc. So more information on that coming out after next week. Good question. Thank you.
The next question, I'm guessing they will not have exams this year?
Yeah, so there won't be final exams per se, but all of our teachers will be doing some wrap up the year activities or projects and or some type of end of year closure. So while that's going to look different for different classes, for me to sit here and say we are going to have mandatory end of the year exams from January, for the cumulative curriculum between January and now, that would be a little bit absurd. And so all of our teachers are going to be working individually on this, on how to best do that, maybe test the material between April 13th and now, maybe just do some great review of things that they need to know going into next year, or maybe to complete some projects. But as far as formal exams, those won't be taking place as they normally do.
All right, next question. When the school year officially ends, are students expected to turn in Chromebooks before summer break? I can take that one. There will be a time when they'll be turning those in, so I can do some cleaning and make sure all the pieces and parts are where they belong. It'll line up at the same amount or the same time that students are coming to get stuff out of their lockers and things like that. And we'll have a system in place for that, depending on what the stay-at-home actions are in place by the governor. Matt, did you want to add anything to that?
No, just we're going to try to have classes go as late as possible. And as we mentioned earlier, part of that Chromebook turn-in will be at the end of the year. Now, as Mike has said, and he did a great job of explaining it there, it is important to get those back, though, turned in for the summer. The upkeep on that is, we have a lot of money invested in that, and you have a lot of money invested in that with regards to not only insurance, but also to keeping those in working order, because they're newer models. And so we want to keep them that way for the upcoming years. That being said, most kids weren't having them at home for the entire school year like they are. So we're knowing that they're going to have some wear and tear coming back in. And so, that time in the summer is going to be important for us. So we're going to want to have that turn-in done prior to the end of the school year, June 9th.
All right, the next question, what is the plan for graduation?
Yeah, so right now, we'll be meeting with our seniors tomorrow at 3 o'clock in a Google Meet to discuss some of the options that we're dealing with. We've had probably 2 to 3 administrative meetings. We've been working with the ISD and other school districts within our ISD and around the state. And so we're coming up with a plan that is going to, most likely going to be virtual, but at the same time, we're going to try to make it as special as possible for our seniors. But we also have to remember we're at a stay-at-home order from the governor, and then that was just extended, of course, to the end of the month. So we will have that information coming this week with regards to tomorrow, the senior meeting, and then I'll be pushing out a senior letter to parents tomorrow afternoon that will have information regarding graduation activities and the things that are ahead. So thank you for that question.
All right, next up. If kids are able to work this summer, do we still need to get work permits from the school if they are required for their job?
The answer to that question is yes. Margaret actually has access to online permits, work permits for students. If your student is interested in a work permit, just email Margaret and she can work out the details. Also, I think maybe she posted something on Schoology about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. And if we did, we'll see if we can't send that back through again and repost it, just so parents have access to that information. But they will be available through the office again this year.
And the work permits were on the link that I just showed them on the website too. Follow up then, if they already had a permit from last year, do they need another one for this summer?
Yeah, they need one every summer.
Okay. Driver's training, do we know if more sessions will possibly become available once they are able to start teaching again?
Thank you for that question. I have been in contact with our contracted driver's ed provider, Mr. Moss, and from Moss Road Rules, and he is anxious to have a class ready to rock and roll for our students. Of course, he's at the same mercy that we're at with regards to not able to have in-person classes. So he's waiting to see if the stay-at-home will be lifted on May 28th. He wants to have a summer session and also a fall session. The summer session may have to be a combo of virtual and then maybe push out the driving because, of course, that's going to provide, some safety concerns. And so not just from driving, but also because of the COVID. But he's anxious to get a class going. So as soon as we have the clearance from the state, he will be sending out information through us, and we'll get that to you as soon as possible. Again, he wants to run one this summer, and he also wants to do one in the fall.
That is all the questions that I have on the list.
One more that just popped in, Mike.
Yes. I've heard rumors that school may be in session sooner than Labor Day in the fall. Is that something Frankfurt is also considering?
Great question. The bigger question is going to be, what will school look like for everybody? And so this isn't anything we're in a position to touch right now. And for all you parents out there that can't wait to get your kids back to school, we can't start school soon enough, I'm sure. But at the same time, we're looking at right now, as the state, our post-Labor Day start, but we're considering all options, just as other districts are doing. So we're going to look at a model that's best for our kids to get them, back in the swing of things as far as school starts, but then also to help them get prepared for their fall testing. And right now, we haven't made any decisions to come back early, but those discussions, we are part of those discussions, just like other schools in the ISD are.
Okay, I think that's it.
Okay, any final comments or questions? Any staff that's out there, do you have anything? Oh, great, test out question. I just saw it pop up, Mike. So the test out question, thank you for that as well. This has also been part of our weekly conversation with staff and also with the ISD of having test outs available for students. What we will probably do between now and the end of the month is have students do signups for test outs, and then we will be providing those test outs either at the beginning of the summer or the end of summer. Of course, if they're at the beginning of the summer and we can't do them in person, then they'd have to be done virtually. But if we push them out to the beginning of August, there's a chance we could do them, in person, etc. But we will do a sign up as far as if anybody's interested in that, and then we can look at the possibilities once we know what it's going to look like. But it is on our radar, and we'll be pushing that information out as soon as possible with regards to test outs. But I'll try to include that in our next parent letter as well. As far as summer school, we'll also have summer school options this year. Any students that were behind in credits and needing credit recovery, also students that maybe needed to take an incomplete and change that to a credit because they didn't get it done during the school year. Those options will be available. We're going to do that virtually for sure. It's just whether or not we do it in June or we do it in early August. So we will have summer school opportunities as well. Thanks for that question or comment.
Can you elaborate on what test out means for some parents?
Yeah, for those of you who haven't had a student test out, or if that's something that's new to you, the state does allow for students, and usually we advertise for it in April, and students take the test in May, to test out of a class and receive credit towards their graduation. Example would be student A is a 9th grader and wants to test out of geometry. So they're taking algebra for the year. They want to test out of geometry. They'll do a test out, which will be a cumulative test for the entire year. The student would, with regards to the Michigan Merit Curriculum and all the things that are expected. And then if they meet the 78th percentile, which is what the state recommends and says that we need to. If they meet 78% on their test out, then they'll have an opportunity to receive credit and not take that class. And so it's not often that students are able to test out. We have a number of students try. It's really difficult to do, but anybody that wants to do it, we offer that opportunity.
I think we're all caught up.
Okay. If there aren't any other questions, again, I'll say, thank you for all that you're doing with the kids. I just want to tell you, we're going to continue to work hard and push as much stuff out to you guys as possible and keep the communication up. One of the quotes we've given to students over the years were things that are hard are worth it. And in this particular case, this is not easy for our students. We understand that. It's not easy for our teachers. It's not easy for our parents. But we know you guys are putting in the time, and we also know that you're working on keeping your kids involved and engaged. And I know our teachers are doing the same. So we appreciate the job you're doing, and we want to tell you that we're going to continue to work with our kids. We care about your kids. We love your kids, and we want them to be successful. One question that didn't get asked that I had a note here that I wanted to mention, and I did kind of say it in passing, was people were asking about PSAT and SAT. All that stuff has been moved to the fall. It will be in October. And so students will still have the opportunity to take the test if they missed, the juniors that missed out on it this year. Okay. All right, Mr. Tisworth, anything to add?
No, this will be available on the school website, the playback, if you wanted to get more of this exciting meeting. Did you, Mrs. Roth, was summer school covered enough as far as, I know you had asked? Yeah, okay. I didn't know if there's anybody that need clarification on summer school. I think you talked about that, right, Mr. Stapleton?
I did, but if somebody missed it, it's just we're gonna offer summer school again this year. Right now, we're trying to decide if it will be virtually, but whether it'll be early in the summer or late in the summer, and that's offered for students with regards to needing to catch up in credits for credit recovery, and or to take an incomplete that they currently have and change it to a grade or a credit, excuse me. So we will have it. Okay, thanks everybody. Stay safe, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Have a good night.